Hey, this is Winter Wolf, and you are now tuned in to Undergroundopolis.
Oh,
Oh, oh, yeah, baby.
welcome to Undergroundopolis, everybody. It's that time again. We are still talking about Waddystock. We're still going to keep covering as many bands as I can before the actual event, which is June 3rd and 4th. I'm sorry, is it? Or June 4th and 5th? It's June 3rd and 4th, yeah. Yeah. And I will bring up of course, every Wednesday night open mic at Dundee Tavern. Your humble host looks a lot like me and sounds a lot like me and probably irritates the shit out of the crowd. Acoustic, you can probably if I've had rappers in that bring their own backup, backing tracks and stuff. I've done that. And Cajon provided original music encouraged, 7 to 10 every Wednesday night, Dundee Tavern. Our next guest, one of the Waddystock bands. I'm just going to bring him right on.
What's happening, brother?
Tell us who you are, where you're from.
We're Bleeding Masses, man. We're from Evansville, Indiana.
Are you really?
Yeah. Yep, way down south, right next to the Kentucky border.
Oh, I know where it is. I lived there for 9 years.
We are Bleed the Masses from Evansville, Indiana.
I lived there for 9 years, man. Worked at the First Avenue Hacienda.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's a funny story. That's actually the first place I ever got drunk in this town.
Plenty of music, lots and lots of, community. So.
Right.
No kidding. Yeah, I used to work at Hacienda. That's hilarious, man. I was a host there at Hacienda first half.
Oh, this was about 20-something years ago. I worked there. Uh-oh, we lost Chad.
He seems to be having some technical difficulties.
How did Bleed the Masses? We'll start with the easy questions. How did Bleed the Masses come together?
Well, let's see. Originally, I moved out here down here from Nebraska. Me and Shad met a long time ago, like 14, 15, maybe going on 16 years ago in a guitar shop. I came down here from Nebraska and we started playing guitar together again. That's kind of how it started. We had another drummer for a while. Us and Daniel, we started playing a few shows once we got a few songs under our belt. And at one of our first shows, this guy right here, Brian, was in the crowd and approached us afterwards. Was like, "Hey, I need to play with you guys immediately." So we're like, "Yeah, let's do that."
Yeah, I seen him jump up on stage to headline the show, and no bassist in sight. So I approached him afterwards and was, "Y'all have somebody? You just couldn't make it? Are y'all working with people? Like, is it an open spot? What's going on with it?" And a few weeks later, they brought me up to Evansville, had me sit down, jam out, and it's been a long run since.
Well, I got to ask, what guitar shop did you meet at in Evansville?
It's not even open anymore, and it wasn't in Evansville. It was actually in Nebraska City, Nebraska. It's an old place called The Sound of Music. It was the Art of Music. Sorry. It's not open anymore, man, because there's just not a big local scene around those parts. But, yep, that's where it was.
I was thinking maybe he's going to say Dallas. What is it called down there? Dallas Pro. It might not even be there anymore. It's right down there on the brick Main Street. It was when I lived there, but it might not even be
I
there
don't
Oh,
anymore.
you're
know.
talking
There's
about?
not very many.
Oh yeah, Old Man Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dallas Music. Yeah,
Yeah,
Dallas
Dallas
Consignment
music.
is what that was called.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Uh,
So,
I recently
so
come across a kid who had a guitar that had a Dallas Consignment sticker on the back of the headstock, and I was like, "Dude, you got a piece of Evansville
Neat.
history, buddy." You know?
yeah.
I was like, "Man, I'd have lacquered that on, dude."
Yeah, absolutely. There was another place on Green River Road. I can't think of the name of it either. I think it was already gone before I left in
I'm, more
2003.
music's still out that direction, but
Yeah. Yeah.
they've moved shops. And
Oh,
H&H is still open, aren't they? I know that the bookstore
Yeah,
closed, but
across
I
from
think
Boston
H&H
High
Music
School.
is still open.
Yeah, we still got we've got the Musicians Den over by Eastland Mall. Opus One is where
that's one.
yeah, more music moved into the Opus One building whenever Opus One finally closed up the doors. So more music is now over in the old Opus One building now instead of the Morgan Avenue location. It's pretty cool. It's a good, great store, excellent equipment. They've got solid choice of, guitars and stuff. And all the people that work there are super cool guys, like my buddy Duke and, Ed Sign, they're all really great guys, stellar musicians. Duke is a killer drummer and Ed Sign is probably like the dude that I idolized the most as a musician growing up here in Evansville next to Tim Johnson. So.
Are you talking about Eric Duke?
Yep, Eric Duke.
Oh, I've known him a long time.
Yeah, man, he's one of my buddies, man. I love Eric Duke.
He's good people.
That he is, man.
If you could narrow down someone you saw on stage or on TV or whatever. There's that echo. Oh, we'll get past it. And you said, you know what? I want to do that. I want to be a musician. Who would that influence be? And you can have different answers, more than one answer. That's all right.
Yeah, there's definitely more than one for me.
I'll let you dudes go first because I got a very small, short story about mine.
I mean, I'm sure one of ours is probably the same, but it goes back to that Metallica concert in, what was it, 1985 or 1986, maybe 91. I don't remember, when they went to Germany, and there was just a sea of, no, it was Russia, wasn't it?
And
Can't hear you anymore.
The Black Album tour.
Yeah.
6 million people in attendance.
Yeah, when I saw that, it was an oh my god, I need that moment.
Dude, yeah, man. See, I remember in '91, my dad had bought the Black Album, and it was in September of '91, and we lived here in Evansville. We were on our way to a haunted house but just a handful of blocks away from my house. I remember Dad popping in the tape in the van, and from the time it took for us to pull off and to park, Enter Sandman had played. From start to finish. I remember crawling through the van as a little bitty dude and asking my dad, I was like, "Man, where's that come from?" He was like, "What?" And I was like, "Well, we were just hearing." He was like, "Music?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "People make that." And I was like, "That's what I want to do." So here I am now, 30 years later, and I'm still hacking at it.
That's a fact. My other one would have to be Kill Switch Engage when they released their live DVD.
Dude, set the world ablaze.
I watched that until I wore the DVD out. I practiced every line. I pulled my guitar out and played along to every song. I mimicked like the way that Howard would move on stage and the way that he would interact with his bandmates and shit like that. Like that's what I wanted to do. The amount of fun that I saw them having on stage, I had never had that amount of fun in my life. No parties, no drugs, no sex had ever made me smile that much. And I needed to have that happen, What about you, Brian?
So, with my story, really music itself grabbed me. My dad's musical taste was all over the place. Might get in the truck one day and be listening to Skinner, 38 Special, Molly Hatchet, the Southern rock classics, or get in the next day and it's Usher and TLC, P. Diddy. Like, jump in one day and it's Rob Zombie and Ozzy Osbourne. Like, you never knew what he was going to listen to. And just growing up with that much variety around, like, I just had to look more into it. Like, music became a passion. It grew into me. But as far as who pushed me, like what artists, seeing them picking up an instrument and whatnot, seeing them and like, I need to excel at this, not just learn how to play, but really drive this instrument, was Rush. Seeing them guys in the early days when I was 10, 11 years old, first time having an instrument in my hands, listening to that technical of stuff, like the possibilities are endless. At the time, I was really wanting to be a drummer more than anything. So watching Neil Peart just absolutely destroy that monstrous kit while Getty is eating a bass alive, it just lit a fire that I've still kept burning. I am still striving to reach new heights.
Right.
What about you, Rob? What made you want to get into the music biz and talk about music?
Well, this show's not about me. It's
all
about
right, that's fair.
All right. Now, how do you describe Bleed the Masses music?
That's a tough one. We've been described as second-rate metal rock before, but if I had to put a tag on it, I would say it's probably mid-2000s era metalcore-ish. But it's pretty technical. I mean, we have a lot of elements from a lot of different things.
Yeah.
What I've heard of, yeah, there's technical.
Fingers are flying around.
Yeah, I got a lot of inspiration from a lot of 80s hair metal and whatnot and classic rock. So, I look at guitar players like Warren DeMartini from Rat and Phil Collin of Def Leppard. You probably wouldn't, think that in our music, but, I take a lot of my inspiration from the way that those dudes would write, and kind of apply it to a modern metal kind of feel,
This is what I was listening to earlier. See if you can see it. Vinnie Vincent Invasion.
Fucking A, dude, that's awesome. Oh, yeah, so I was an 80s hair metal kid, man, growing up big time because my dad was big into, the classic rock and 80s metal. So, I mean, it was a lot of Kiss, Nugent, Motley Crue and Guns N' Roses, Tesla, and I've loved those bands so much. Man, I've seen Def Leppard twice with Tesla, and, I've seen them with Journey as well, and Poison. Poison wasn't so awesome, but they are a good band.
Oh, Brent.
I saw Tesla at Mesker Park Amphitheater.
Oh,
man,
still around.
Dude, some years back, me and an old band had put together an event at Mesker. We were trying to raise money to revive the amphitheater. Between us and this guy named Mikey J, we had managed to get 71 local acts together and rented all of Mesker Park. We had music from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m., food vendors and stuff. Man, we all together with everybody involved, we managed to raise $274,000 to save Mesker Amphitheater, just for the wonderful city of Evansville to take our money and fill the potholes in the streets. Man, not a single dime of that went to the amphitheater. Man, I was so bummed.
That's a tragic story because that was a very fun place. It's like that's a good story.
That's kind of a repeat story of a lot of the places around town. Unfortunately, you remember a place called PG's?
I don't know.
It was. That was
Franklin,
a place
isn't it?
that was open when I first came to town, and it was a place for new and young metal acts and hard rock acts and really anybody. They had open mics, and they would host anybody that wanted to get on a stage and try and perform, especially for the first time. They were all about that. Unfortunately, people treated it more just like a hangout area than a business, and it didn't make any money, so it eventually had to shut its doors. But it seems to be a repeat story around this town, especially.
I do remember PG's. That was out on kind of the northwest side, not First
Yeah, I'm trying to
Avenue.
remember exactly
Franklin.
where.
What,
West Franklin, over off across from Lamasco's.
okay, I remember the spot, which you guys are probably too young to remember the spot.
Was that the place
They
that was in the
used to
strip
have-
mall?
No, that might have been Skies, which like out Morgan Avenue, I think maybe. Or Morgan and Green right there. There's a pool hall out there, and bands used to play there quite a bit. It was always cover bands though.
Oh, you talking
I
about
think
the roundabout?
Is
The
that what it's
roundabout
called
was the pool
now?
hall. Well, the roundabout was
Yeah.
called the pool hall. Unfortunately, Carson, the owner of that place, he passed away about a decade ago, and they'd moved from the east side to over on Franklin off of First Avenue. I remember when I was a teenager, me and my buddies used to go in there and hang out and whatnot and shoot pool and stuff. But Carson would have like blackjack, and they would be doing card games and stuff in the very back, and in a little secret room that he had. Carson was a super cool guy, but he used to tell me stories about how back in the day the roundabout was over on the east side, and I used to have bands and stuff in there all the time.
Well, I don't know if I want to try to upstage the Mesker Park story. So usually at this point I ask what your favorite show is, and I don't know if we can get a better story than that Mesker Park story, because that's a really good story. So I will ask the counter question: What was your worst performance? When did you bomb on stage?
Oh man. So I want to say it was one of the shows in Clarksville, Tennessee at the warehouse. At least this is just me on a personal level.
Same thing.
But there was a show where I didn't warm up at all. I didn't prepare my throat before the show. Like I drank whatever I wanted to. I smoked a bunch of cigarettes. I smoked a bunch of weed. So I was not prepared where I needed to be to perform vocally, and it showed through the whole performance. It showed I could not make my voice make the sounds that it was supposed to make. I felt like I did okay guitar wise. Managed to nail that side of things, but definitely I was lacking on that microphone. It was a tragedy.
Yeah, I feel like there was one of those Clarksville, the warehouse shows, where every single one of us, as soon as we got on stage, would look at one of the others and be like, man, I feel like I bombed.
Yeah.
Like, we all felt like we absolutely just shit the bed on that one. But, I mean, we still had the crowd in it. We still had, like, everybody was hype about it, but we just walked away feeling like we could have been way better.
We're constantly our own worst critics.
Yeah.
Right. Most musicians are. They're either their own worst critics, or they got the biggest damn egos that you want to smack the hell out of them.
Yeah. Yep, pretty much. It's 50-50. You don't have any gray area there.
Looks like our drummer is wanting to join in. I'll chime in on my side here. We've had a couple of rough ones, you know what I mean? But I tell you what, man, I was in an old band, years ago. And it's funny because, we were just talking about that Mesker show. That Mesker show was probably the one for me because we had a stage, no canopy. It's in fucking May. Dude, it was so hot on that stage, man. I couldn't breathe, man. I was going to the side of the stage, gasping for air, dude, because it was so hot. There were fans, and dude, they had the can lights, on us too, man. It was miserable, man. But as far as bleed goes, I would say I'd have to agree with the guys here that, you know, there was a Clarksville show that we had did where it was just, man, I think there might have been a lack of preparation for us in general, man, because I think at one point, I think our personal lives had kept us from being able to get together for a solid practice for a few weeks before that show. So that was another thing I think that might have kind of contributed to our little bit of luster performance. I mean, when we come and we play a show, man, we bring it. You know what I mean? We bring it, you know, with all the fire and intensity that we can. But, you know, it's the story of every band. Every band out there has that one show that is just a fucking train wreck. And
I may have to rephrase my statement on this. I feel like maybe the show, one of the second show in Lexington that we played, the back-to-back shows for Misanthropic Records, that second show that we played where half of us were sick and dying, and Eric was also sick. It was really bad. So half of the bands that were there, this was right before COVID became worldwide news. We had COVID. We all had COVID. Half of the bands there had COVID, and we didn't know what it was. We just thought we had colds, and I'd say that was probably our worst show. It was just miserable. You know, I think we pulled it off.
Crowd, you could feel it with the crowd. Like, the crowd was just sitting around the edges of the venue. Like, there wasn't a person on the floor for any band that night. Like, it was so dead. Everybody in there just, it felt like nobody wanted to be there.
Oh.
I think we have a video of me going to the opposite side of the room while we're performing because I got tired of everybody sitting around the edges, so I went to them. I had like a 70-foot amp table and just took off across the room.
Here's something funny.
Draw that crowd in somehow.
Our last show we played in Evansville at Boca, there's a video of it where one of the people in the crowd had a fucking hammer. Fell out in the mosh pit. So, like, right at the end of the video, like in our very last song, you see this dude go across the camera, and he's got the hammer in his hand, and he's like, who brings a fucking hammer to a metal show? You know? That was pretty dope.
It was a pretty good moment.
What's your favorite song?
When we got a wall of death mosh pit happening, and he brings a murder weapon.
What would be everybody's favorite song to perform live?
Oh, A History of Deceit.
I mean, I got a couple different answers to that, but that's probably, I'd probably say that's my favorite to perform live. It's a toss between that and Martyred, just because both of those songs are thrashers, man. They just go from beginning to end.
Yeah, but you can't forget The Crucible either, man. The Crucible is probably our #1 crowd song. Between The Crucible and Angel of Mercy, those are probably two of our biggest, you know, songs for the crowd. Hey, that's our drummer.
Zach Attack.
Yeah, we definitely...
One second. Let me.
All right.
Can you hear me? Hello?
I would say, I mean, So History's fun. It's fun to play live, but Imposter has always been my favorite one. The energy on that song, it's great to groove to, bounce around. Like, it really brings the energy.
It's true, it does. What about you, Zach? What's your favorite song to perform live?
My favorite one's got to be History, 100%, because of the creativity that we all put in it is just amazing, and I love it. I love it. 100%.
Would you say you preferred the studio or the stage?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
As far as do I prefer how we present our music, I prefer the studio. As far as what do I prefer to be a part of, the stage 100%. You know what I mean? I would 10 times out of 10, I would go to a stage before I'd go to a studio. But I also love the way that studios make your music sound, like how they nuance everything and let every part be heard. You miss that in a live setting. However, when you hear stuff on a record, you miss the energy that you get in a live setting.
100%.
Miss that immediate feedback.
Yeah, I get that, man, you know, because the thing is that you're right about that, you know what I mean? Like the music encapsulates the energy, you know, but the performance shows that energy, you know. So, you know, hitting the stage with that performance, man, as a musician, man, you know, I love being in the studio and coming up with the coolest shit ever, and then being able to take that coolest shit ever to the stage and delivering it. Man, that's the real treat, man. Is whenever you're on that stage, man, and you know, whether it's 5 people or 5,000, you know, those people, when they react to that music, you know, and you feel that buzz in the air, you know, it's a feeling like nothing else that you can get in the world, man. No matter if drugs or
no drug can top it.
No matter of hot banging chickies or, you know, for me, the next most comparable thing to that is, you know, I'm a dad, you know, I've got 4 kids, and, you know, the next thing comparable to that is, you know, that moment where you watch your kid take a breath for the first time ever, you know, or whenever your kid does something super cool for, you know, the first time, like taking it, you know, their steps or, you know, their first words or something. Being on stage every time is kind of comparable to that for me. It's that excitement, you know what I mean? It's get to see those people react to something that they really enjoy. You know, in a sense, it's kind of like being that kid that, you know, watches that, you know, fucking, you know, performance, you know what I mean? That just moves you, you know, whenever you're out there on that stage and you get to see those people move. That's why I like the stage more than I do the studio. Sorry, it was a bit of a drawn out explanation.
What day are you guys going to play Waddy?
I think they have a setup on the 2nd day, but I'm not 100% certain on that.
Right. Guys, I'm running out of time here. Anything you want to add before we wrap it up? You got a Bandcamp website? Anything you want?
We're on Spotify. We're on iTunes, Apple Music, Google Play. We're pretty much everywhere. YouTube. Just type in the band name. You'll find us on pretty much anything you want to know. Bleed the Masses, or search for Bleed the Masses Official if that doesn't lead you the right direction. We're looking forward to getting some new music on streaming services pretty soon. And yeah, we're trying to book as many shows as we got. So anybody in the tri-state area needs a metal band to bring a banger to you, let us know.
We will deliver 100%.
Thank you guys. We are Bleed the Masses. We got merch over there. Please stick around for Lydia Can't Breathe. You guys have been fucking great.
Hi there. This is Craig Bell from Rocket from the Tombs. And here is the joke of the week. It's a woman with a baby sitting on a shore. It's a beautiful day. The sun is shining. It's just the people are walking along the beach, and she's just holding her beautiful child and smiling and thinking what a beautiful world this is. When out of nowhere, this tidal wave comes in off the ocean, washes up on the shore, washes over her, throws her around. When it recedes, she's lying there and her child is gone. She starts crying and crying to the sky, oh dear God, please bring back my precious little baby. She's the love of my life. He's all I have. All of a sudden, this wave out of nowhere again comes back, washes over her. When it recedes, her baby's in her arms, perfect, smiling, laughing like he's having the time of his life. She looks at him lovingly. She looks up at the sky, and she says, hey, he had a hat.